So this episode is particularly for you. If you think about meditation and think, oh, I can't do that. Might have tried that even, but I can't do that. Because I hear this a lot, from people that I talk to in my work. If ever meditation crops up, people say, oh, do you know, I know there's so many benefits to that, Al, but I don't know, I've tried that, I just can't do it. And so I'm always interested in that. Because when we say that we can't do something, it doesn't always relate to the process of the thing that we're doing. When we say we can't do something, we're often referring not to the actual action of doing it, but to the outcome that we expect from doing it. So I'll give you an example. This morning I had my breakfast, as you would expect. And I cleaned the dishes afterwards, so I was washing the dishes. Now, the process of that, if I just describe that, is I put the dishes in hot soapy water, I got the scourer, and I applied the scourer to the dish. So that's the actual process of washing dishes, isn't it? You put dishes in hot soapy water, you get a scourer, and you apply the scourer to the dish. Or the dishcloth, whatever. You apply the dishcloth to the dish, whatever you're using. Now that process is easy enough. And I can do that process fine. Now, if the outcome of that process of applying the dishcloth to the dish, if the outcome of that is to end up with a clean dish, I can do that. Because I can do the process of getting the scourer and putting that on the dish in the hot water, and I can achieve the outcome of getting a clean dish. So I think of that and think, well, I can do that. But if you have exactly the same process, getting the scourer and putting it on the dish, but you say that the outcome is that you're meant to scour it so that the dish actually disappears, I'll be doing exactly the same process, but I'll be thinking to myself, oh God, I can't do this. I can't do this. And yet it's exactly the same process. The very action that we're taking is exactly the same. And so often when we're talking about, I can't do this, it's not the action that we're referring to. It's the results that we expect from it. And so if somebody tells me to get a clean dish, no problem, I can do that. If someone tells me to do exactly the same thing, but as a result have the dish disappear, I'll be frustrated and I'll say, I can't do that. Now, the reason I'm telling you that is because it's an important distinction. Because, of course, everyone can sit down and close their eyes. But the outcome that we're often told that we should expect from meditation, we're just being taught wrong what that outcome is. And because we're being told to make the dish disappear, to use that analogy, so many of us think, well, I can't do that. So what I want to do is to explain what meditation really is. Because like I say, if you're thinking that you can't do it, my guess is that you've been taught wrong. You've been given a completely impossible, unrealistic expectation of what you should expect to be the result of it. So let's change that. Here's what meditation really is about. Meditation is not about getting an empty mind. Meditation is not about making the dish disappear. What meditation is a game of catch. So if you're in the park with your friend and they've got a ball, they'll throw the ball. Your job is not to make the ball disappear. Your job is to follow the line of the ball, reach out and catch the ball. And that's what meditation basically is. You're not trying to get rid of the ball, you're having a game of catch. The thing that you're catching is your own kind of mind. The point is not to make the ball disappear. Now, the best way that I can describe what this looks like, if you were to visualize it maybe between, something that you could really see in your mind's eye as to what meditation actually is, Have you ever seen a mum and a toddler in a park, and they'll settle down, she'll put the blanket down and she's there with the child. It might be about 2 years of age, so it's, it has designs of its own to explore the world. And so they settle down, and the mum is quite happy to let the toddler explore, but really not too far. And the toddler would run to the other end of the park if it had its way. So the mum is happy for it to have the freedom to explore, but, not too far. And so what she will do is she'll plant them down and she'll let the toddler roam for a little bit. And then when it gets too far, she'll bring the toddler back to the blanket. And she won't kind of tie the toddler down or anything like that, or hold on to the toddler. It's just a process where the child's gone a little bit too far. She gets up, brings the toddler back to the blanket, and then the toddler will start toddling off again. And she'll get up and she'll bring the toddler back. You've probably seen this scene a lot. It's quite amusing to watch as the child is trying to explore. She'll bring it back to the blanket and it'll stay there for a little bit, maybe, maybe have a sandwich or something, and then it's toddling somewhere else. And she's up again and she gets the child and brings it back to the blanket. That is probably the best description of meditation that I can provide for you, because that's really the job of meditation. Imagine your mind is that toddler. Your job is not to evaporate the toddler so that you just sat there on the blanket yourself. Your job is to catch the toddler. So what will happen is you'll sit there and you'll be in silence, and you will choose to focus on the breath. Now, when you focus on the breath, that's the equivalent of the child, the toddler, being on the blanket. So you've got this area of focus that you want your mind to be on. You want your mind to be on that blanket of the breath. But it's totally unrealistic to expect it to stay there. To expect your mind not to chatter, to expect the toddler not to go and have a little wonder, a little explore. And your mind will do that too. It will. So a bit like before with the objective, the outcome that you expect being the thing that helps you say, well, I can't do that. If you understand the job of meditation is not to make things disappear, not to make your mind go silent or zen or any of this kind of stuff that people often talk about with meditation. If you understand that instead your job is simply a game of catch, whether it's catching the ball or in this case catching the toddler, then you'll realise that you can do it, because there's no real way to get it wrong. What will happen is, much like the toddler, you will get the toddler to focus on the blanket and it'll be there on the blanket, but then it will, absolutely will, wander off somewhere. When you're meditating, you'll try to get your mind just to focus on your breath. Let that be the blanket in this analogy, but it will wander off. When it wanders off, that is the chance for you to play catch. And so every time that you spot your mind has wandered off and you catch it, big tick for you. You've just succeeded. You've just caught the ball. You've just succeeded. You've just shown that you can do it. And then what will happen is you'll bring your mind back to the breath, just like you bring the toddler back to the blanket. And of course, a couple of seconds later, you'll realise, oh, I'm thinking about that. The mind's wandered off. The toddler's on a little roam, on a little explore about something. And so you'll bring it back again. Well done, you just caught it again. So meditation is not some sort of process by which the outcome is that you get some clear, empty mind. What meditation actually is a game of catch. And so it's a game where you can actually build in success. Because every time that you notice that your mind is not on your breath, you've just succeeded. You've just succeeded at meditation. You've played catch. You've caught the toddler. You've spotted that your mind is somewhere else rather than on your breath. And so you go and get it and you bring it back. Because the whole point of meditation is that it's a practice that is designed to help you react differently to your thoughts. And it's a life practice. And by life practice, the idea is that it is to be applied in life. So I don't know, maybe you're having a really difficult conversation and somebody has said something to you that you don't like, that maybe you find offensive or it feels like an attack. And your mind will go to one place, which is quite reactive and might not be the way that you want to react in that moment. And your mind will go there. And so your job is to play catch in that real life moment, so that you're not simply reacting to your thoughts, but you have some executive control over them. And so it's a practice, because your mind will do that. It'll go to a different place. And so our job then is to just catch it and bring it back, so that we can learn how to have those moments in a place of relative calm, where we can actually have some executive control over the little spikes that our mind goes in. Because in real life, it's like a game of catch in the same way. So all meditation is doing is practicing catching. And it's a bit like sports training. You're practicing how to play catch, so that when you go into the real game, you're going to be much better at catching. And that is all that meditation is. It's the mum with the toddler. And the toddler will keep on going to this place, to that place, to the other place. And the mum's job is to go and fetch the toddler and bring it back to the blanket. Now, if you think of meditation as a game of catch, you'll realise that you can do it. And that every single time that you spot that your mind is not on your breath is a success. Every time that you spot that your mind is not focused on your breathing, but is thinking about something else, and it will be, you'll realise that every time you spot that and just bring it back to your breath again, you've just won. Because that is the point of it. It is a game of catch. Except the thing that you're catching is not a toddler or a ball. It's just your own mind going on a little wonder, as it does. And so when you do that, the whole point is that when you actually go into the game for real, when you actually step into life and you have situations where your mind does go somewhere, you can actually play catch there as well. And not follow your thoughts in the same way, but just bring them back to that kind of centered place where you'd like to be. So like I said at the beginning, when you say you can't do meditation, it's very, very similar to me saying I can't do the dishes. And I would only say I can't do the dishes if my expectation is such that rubbing the dish is meant to make the dish disappear. And in exactly the same way, you can do meditation if you appreciate what the actual purpose of meditation is, what the outcome is. Not to get an empty Zen mind or any of that old nonsense. It's just a game of catch. And the final thing I'd say about this is you don't have to sit there cross-legged for an hour in order to do it. You can do it for as short a time as you want. So you could do 30 seconds worth if you want. You can do 10 seconds worth. You can do a minute's worth. You don't have to sit there and do it for ages if that feels too big to do. But when you do it, for however long you decide to do it, remember that you're just playing catch, and that'll change the whole nature of what it is that you're actually doing. So I hope this has been helpful. Please share it if so, because a lot of people have got a mistaught idea of meditation. You can subscribe to this podcast for free. You can see it on sliceoftherapy.com as a video. And you can also work with me directly if you'd like to. I'm Alun Parry from the Liverpool Psychotherapy practice, and that's liverpoolpsychotherapy.co.uk. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you again tomorrow.